You never think your life will fall apart on a Tuesday morning while you're making oatmeal. But there I was, standing in our spotless suburban kitchen, watching the kettle whistle, when my wife's second phone buzzed on the counter. Yeah, you read that right. Second phone. She said it was for work emergencies. Something about her tech startup needing 24/7 access for client calls. I never touched it. We trusted each other, or so I thought. This time, though, the screen lit up with a name I didn't recognize. Elias. The preview of the message just read, "Last night was," and then cut off. I didn't want to be that guy. The snooping husband. The paranoid one. But my gut told me something was wrong. My hands moved before my brain caught up. I grabbed the phone, swiped up, miraculously, no passcode, and saw a string of messages that knocked the air out of me. Elias. Last night was perfect. I still taste you. Elias. Wish you didn't have to sneak out. When can I see you again? Elias. Still thinking about how you moaned my name. I stood frozen, heartbeat pounding so loud I thought the neighbors could hear it. This wasn't just a flirtation. It was physical. Ongoing. Intimate. I stared at the kitchen doorway, half expecting her to walk in and catch me reading her filth. But she was upstairs, blow-drying her hair, probably smiling at her reflection while I unraveled downstairs. I had always believed honesty was the foundation of our relationship. We weren't perfect. Who is? But we laughed together, planned our future, even talked about having kids this year. She said she wanted 3. I was finally on board with that idea. We had just signed a 10-year mortgage. I slid the phone back where I found it, and backed away like I touched a grenade. Was this real? Could I be misreading it? Maybe she was helping a friend role-play something. Some dumb, desperate thought like that flashed through my mind before I shut it down. No. She was cheating. Sleeping with someone named Elias. And I had no idea for how long. I walked out the front door without saying a word. Took the car, drove until I hit the lake we used to picnic at during our first year together. I just sat in the car staring at the water, trying to figure out what the hell to do next. I knew confronting her right away would only get me lies. She was smart, smarter than me, probably, and she'd twist it. Make it sound like it was my fault. That I was distant. Distracted. Maybe I had been. But that didn't give her a free pass to someone else's bed. That day, I began documenting everything. If I was going to go to war for the truth, I needed ammo. And if she thought I was going to lie down and take it, she didn't know me at all. I didn't go home until after dark. When I walked in, she was curled up on the couch in her robe, scrolling on her iPad like nothing had changed. She looked up, smiled faintly. Hey babe, everything okay? You were gone for hours. Just needed some air. I mumbled, kicking off my shoes. Work stress. That was my first lie. It felt unnatural, like trying on someone else's skin, but I knew I needed to play dumb. If I accused her without proof, I'd get gaslighted into oblivion. That's how she was, calm, articulate, always 2 steps ahead. So I smiled, sat beside her, and pretended to watch her show. But I wasn't really watching. I was studying her. The subtle glances at her second phone. The way she tilted it slightly when it buzzed. Her thumb tapping too quickly, too eagerly. I started a new ritual that week. Each morning, I woke up 30 minutes earlier than her and scanned her work phone. I'd take photos of the screen with my own phone, texts, call logs, hotel confirmations. She never noticed. She used a messaging app one hadn't seen before, encrypted, sleek, meant for people with something to hide. But she got sloppy. One morning I found a message thread where Elias sent her a photo of them together in a hotel mirror. Her shirt was off. His face was clear. I recognized the hotel, downtown, near the river. We'd stayed there once for our anniversary. I wanted to scream. Instead, I calmly backed up the photo to a hidden folder on my cloud. I labeled it Mortgage Docs 2023. She'd never looked there. By the 3rd week, I knew this wasn't some short-lived affair. It was coordinated. They had meetups. Codes. A full alternate reality I had no part in. But what broke me the most was the way she'd kiss me goodbye in the mornings. Warm, routine, like nothing was wrong. And I'd let her. I had to. I needed her to believe I was blind. I started planting questions casually, pretending I cared more about her work again. "How's that new client you mentioned? You still working with the tech guy?" She hesitated. "Elias? Oh, yeah? Just a few back-end adjustments. Not really a big deal." Back-end adjustments. The irony almost made me laugh out loud. I kept calm. Kept pretending. But inside, I was unraveling. I started losing sleep, drinking more. I'd stare at the ceiling until 3 a.m., imagining them together. Her laugh. His hands on her. The secrets exchanged while I waited at home like a fool. My best friend Alex noticed something was wrong. One night at the bar, he cornered me. "You look like shit, man. Is everything okay at home?" I paused. Then, for the first time, I said it out loud. "I think she's cheating on me." He blinked. "You sure?" I nodded slowly. "I've got proof." He looked at me the way people look at someone who just got diagnosed with something they can't treat. Sympathy. Helplessness. Rage on my behalf. But he didn't say, "Leave her." Not yet. Instead, he leaned in. "What do you want to do?" And that was the question, wasn't it? What did I want? Revenge? Closure? Or the truth laid bare, no matter how much it hurt? I tracked Elias down 2 weeks later. It wasn't hard. People leave trails when they get cocky. I'd spotted a company logo on one of his photos, some flashy boutique marketing firm. A little digging led me to a staff page, and there he was, Elias Benton, creative director. Smirking like he owned the world. I memorized his schedule from the firm's website. Thursday afternoons, weekly networking lunch at a little bar downtown. I dressed casual, hoodie and baseball cap, sat near the back, watched him walk in like he belonged to every room he entered. He was taller than I expected. Confident in that annoying way only men who've never been rejected can be. I hated him instantly. I waited until he'd ordered a drink, then walked up like I was just another stranger passing through. I didn't say my name. Didn't let him guess who I was. "You Elias?" I asked. He looked up, annoyed. "Who's asking?" "Someone with a question," I said. "You know Amanda, right?" His eyes locked onto mine, and for half a second, something flickered. Recognition. Regret? No. Something worse, amusement. "Ah," he said, smiling. "So you're the husband." My jaw clenched. I didn't confirm it. I didn't have to. He leaned back in his chair, took a slow sip of his drink. "Didn't think you'd be the type to come looking. She said you were passive." I wanted to put my fist through his smug mouth. Instead, I sat down. "How long?" He shrugged. "Does it matter?" "It does to me." He looked around, then leaned in. "Since October. Nearly 7 months." My stomach twisted. 7 months. Longer than I thought. "And you knew about me the whole time?" He chuckled. "Of course. She talks about you all the time. Honestly, it was part of the thrill." I saw red. But he wasn't finished. "She told me you were distant. Focused on your projects. Said you hadn't touched her in months." I knew what that was. Her rewriting this story to justify the affair. Painting herself as the victim. Making me the cold, neglectful one. I leaned forward. "You ever think maybe she was lying to you, too?" He hesitated. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Then he said something that shook me to my core. "She said she was gonna leave you this summer. Said she'd already talked to a divorce lawyer. Showed me the papers." My throat tightened. Papers? That night, when I got home, she was in the bath, candles lit, soft music playing. Like nothing had changed. Like my world wasn't burning down. I stood in the hallway, looking at her silhouette through the frosted glass, wondering how many more lies she was living. If she already had one foot out the door, why was she still here? I barely slept that night. Her words from the bathtub, soft, sweet, casual, played on a loop in my head. "Long day?" she asked as I passed by. I nodded, kissed her forehead like everything was fine, and went to our bedroom. But inside, I was boiling. Was she really planning to leave me? And if so, why hadn't she said a word? The next morning, after she left for a strategy session downtown, I began searching. Not her phone this time. I was done with digital crumbs. I checked our shared filing cabinet, locked drawers, her home office. It took me over an hour to finally find it. A plain manila envelope tucked inside an old laptop box at the back of our bedroom closet. It was labeled, "Legal inquiry, private." My hands shook as I opened it. Inside, 3 printed emails with a divorce attorney named Marissa Blaine. A draft of a preliminary divorce petition. Notes scribbled in her handwriting. Assets split. Prenup doesn't cover house. And at the bottom of one page, highlighted in yellow, concealment risk. Timeline for separation must remain unclear. I sat on the floor, the documents spread out like forensic evidence, and felt something in me snap. It wasn't just that she'd cheated. It was that she'd already planned her exit. In secret. While we were house hunting. While we were making love. While we were discussing baby names. And now it all made sense. The sudden sweetness. The fake interest in my life. She was cushioning the blow, softening the battlefield before she walked away. She wanted me calm. Unaware. Passive. She wanted the house. The dog. Maybe even my silence. I didn't tell her what I found. Not yet. I went about my day as if nothing had changed. Made dinner. Watched a movie with her. Laughed at her jokes. But in the back of my mind, I was making a new plan. Not to win her back. Not to beg or plead. But to make sure she didn't walk away with everything. Because if she was already playing dirty, so would I. I met the lawyer on a Monday morning. Her name was Caitlin Rhodes, sharp, efficient, not much for small talk. I handed her the manila envelope, still sealed this time, and gave her the bare bones. "My wife is planning to divorce me," I said. "She doesn't know I know." She scanned the documents quickly, eyebrows raising at a few underlined sections. "She's being advised well," Caitlin muttered. "This attorney is good. Subtle. Strategic." "Can she take the house?" I asked. "That depends," she said. "When did you buy it?" 14 months ago. Joint loan." She nodded slowly. "Then it's community property. Unless there's a prenup that gives her leverage." I hesitated. "There is one," I said. "She wrote it. I signed it." Caitlin looked up. "She wrote it?" "Yeah," I said, flushing slightly. "She's smart. Organized. Said it was just a formality. Her parents insisted. I didn't want to fight about it. She asked me to bring it in. I dug it out that night while my wife was on a conference call, pacing in the guest room with the door closed. I recognized the same tone she used with Elias, soft, flirty, dangerous. The prenup was in a small binder tucked behind our tax returns. I hadn't looked at it in 3 years. When Caitlin reviewed it the next morning, her expression changed. She leaned back slowly, tapped one section with her pen. "This clause right here," she said. "She slipped in something that protects her in case of emotional instability or professional incapacity on your part." "What does that mean?" "It means that she can prove you've been emotionally volatile, or if you've had any gaps in employment, she can argue you violated the stability clause, which limits your claim on the house, and potentially spousal support." My stomach dropped. I had been between jobs last year. A 4-month gap. After a breakdown. She'd been supportive. Encouraging. Now I saw it differently. She'd been documenting it. Preparing for this. "She planned this whole thing," I whispered. From the beginning. Caitlin nodded solemnly. Looks that way. I left her office with a fresh folder, one labeled Counter Strategy. Inside were instructions: collect financial records, compile texts, avoid confrontation. She warned me not to tip my hand. Let her think you're still blind, she said. The moment she knows you're awake, she'll accelerate everything. Back at home, my wife greeted me with a kiss. I was thinking, she said, we should plan a weekend getaway. Just us. Reconnect a bit. It was perfect. Too perfect. A smokescreen. She was either trying to trap me or distract me from the final stage of her plan. She rented a cabin in the mountains. Said it was a surprise. No phones, no emails, just us. Her smile was bright. Too bright. We left on a Friday morning. Scout, our golden retriever, stayed with her sister. It was just the two of us, driving 2 hours into the Smoky Mountains with soft music playing and her hand resting on my thigh. She seemed relaxed. Almost glowing. I tried to match her energy, pretending to enjoy the moment, while silently checking for signs. Does she have another phone on her? Is Elias meeting us up there? Is this where she tells me she's leaving? The cabin was beautiful. Wood-paneled, scenic view, wine already uncorked when we arrived. She pulled me into the bedroom right after we unpacked, aggressive, urgent. It felt performative. Like she was trying to rewrite something. Maybe overwrite her guilt with physical closeness. Afterward, while she showered, I checked her overnight bag. No second phone. But there was something else. A folded printout tucked between her toiletries. I unfolded it with shaking hands. It was a checklist. Typed. Titled, Exit Timeline, July. Speak to real estate agent privately. Initiate formal separation July 10th. Move funds from joint to private account. Retain full custody of Scout, emotion clause. Secure Elias new lease, possible move-in? Stage confrontation if necessary. Record it. I read that last line twice. Stage confrontation. Record it. I felt sick. Was that what this weekend was? A trap? A setup? Was she hoping I'd lash out so she could capture it on video and use it against me in court? I folded the paper, put it back, and stepped outside onto the porch. I didn't know whether to cry, scream, or laugh. I lit a cigarette, my first in 3 years, and stared at the treetops. She came out 10 minutes later, wrapped in a blanket. Hey, you okay? I nodded. Just clearing my head. Trying to be present. She leaned into me, kissed my cheek. I'm really glad we did this. I looked at her, wondering how many masks she had. How many roles she'd rehearsed. Back inside, she made dinner. Wine. Candlelight. She put on a playlist we used to listen to when we first met. She even made that stupid flourless chocolate cake she knew I liked. She was painting a picture. Of love. Of reconnection. So when she filed for divorce next week, she could say she tried. That I was unstable. That I refused to engage. That she did everything she could. I chewed my food in silence, already tasting the war ahead. But I had a new plan now. She wasn't the only one who could stage things. The Monday after our cabin trip, I walked through the front door a different man. She noticed it right away. You seem lighter, she said, studying me over her coffee. Yeah, I said, smiling faintly. That weekend really helped. I saw a flicker of hesitation in her eyes. Doubt. Suspicion. She wasn't used to me being unreadable. I played the role perfectly, calm, affectionate, productive. I cooked dinner. Cleaned the house. Asked about her work. Even suggested we invite friends over for a barbecue next weekend. She smiled, but there was something tight in it. Like she was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Good. Let her wonder. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was building my case. I started recording our conversations. Legally. We lived in a one-party consent state. Every phone call, every passive-aggressive comment, Every moment she hinted I was emotionally unstable went into a private drive. I printed screenshots of her messages with Elias. Printed bank statements where she'd begun transferring funds to her private accounts. I even found a spreadsheet she'd labeled freedomplan.excelsex, buried in a cloud folder under a fake project name. That file alone would burn her in court. And then, the final nail. She left her laptop open one evening while she showered. Her email was up. An exchange with Elias from 2 days earlier. Elias: "So are you still going through with the performance this weekend? Or should I stay out of sight?" Her: "Yeah. He's calmer now. Probably suspects nothing. I'll try to push some buttons. If he snaps, we'll have the proof we need." I stared at that sentence so long I thought I'd pass out. She wanted me to snap. She wanted to provoke me. Push me over the edge. Record it. Show the court her unstable husband who didn't deserve the house, the dog, or any credibility. But she underestimated one thing. I don't explode. I erode. Quietly. Strategically. I forwarded the entire thread to my lawyer that night. Then I emptied half our joint account, legally, while I still had access, and moved it into a holding account under my name. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table sipping coffee when she walked in, smiling like everything was fine. I smiled back. She sat down, completely unaware that the game had shifted. "I was thinking," she said, "we should do a couples retreat next month. Reset things before, you know." "Before what?" I asked gently. She blinked. "Just work stuff. It's gonna get busy." I leaned forward, still smiling. "You're right," I said. "It's time to reset everything." And for the first time since this nightmare began, I meant it. It happened on a Sunday. The air was thick with summer heat, the kind that made everything feel like a held breath. She was in the backyard setting up the grill, laughing on the phone with someone, probably her sister. Probably planning her exit parade. I stood in the living room, holding a manila envelope filled with every receipt, every message, every lie she had tried to bury. And I was done waiting. She came inside humming, wiping her hands on a towel. "Hey, could you sit down?" I said, quieter than expected. She blinked. "What?" "I need you to sit down." Her eyes scanned my face. Something changed. The smile disappeared. Her back straightened. The performance mask cracked. She sat. I dropped the envelope on the table. "I know everything," I said. "Elias. The prenup setup. The planned confrontation. The emotional instability clause. I know about your spreadsheet. The staged emails. The exit timeline. All of it." Silence. She didn't reach for the envelope. She didn't even flinch. She just stared. "How long have you known?" she asked finally. "Since the morning I read your texts." A pause. Then softly, "So why didn't you say anything?" I leaned forward. "Because I wanted to see how far you'd go. I needed to know who you really were." She nodded, slowly. Then she said something that nearly knocked me out of my chair. "I didn't cheat first." "What?" Her voice was quiet. "You cheated first. With that girl from your consulting gig. 3 years ago. New York." My mouth went dry. That wasn't true. Or at least, not in the way she thought. There was a night, yes. A client dinner that went late. A hug that lingered. A moment of temptation. But I stopped it. I never slept with her. "I didn't," I started. "You didn't physically," she said. "But you thought about it. You kept her number. You messaged her again a month later. I saw it. I never said anything." I was stunned. She pulled out her envelope from the kitchen drawer and laid it beside mine. "I started planning the divorce a year later," she said. "Not because of that girl. But because I realized something. You would never choose me if things got hard. You liked the version of me that supported you, admired you, but not the real one. The one who gets scared. Who's messy? Who wants too much? I sat there, floored. She was crying now, but not theatrically. Not for show. I didn't plan to fall for Elias, she said. I just needed someone to look at me like I mattered again. The rage that had carried me for weeks began to ebb, replaced with a deeper, colder grief. I stood up. This marriage is dead, I said. And we both killed it. Just in different ways. She nodded. I picked up Scout later that night. I'd already arranged a temporary move. No courtroom battle. No fireworks. Just ashes. Some endings don't explode. They dissolve.